Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the FRS Season 7. And we are in our home division, Division 2, where we actually get to race this week around the Jeddah, Saudi Arabia circuit. Here is the track, 6.1 kilometers, around 27 official corners, and 3 heaping DRS zones. A lot of switchbacks, cuts back and forth, a lot of full throttle corners, but it's a tricky little circuit. The first time the FRS has visited Jeddah. It is now the 24th different circuit that we have visited. Turn 1, of course, the big action zone around the track at the end of the pit straight DRS zone. A little tight left-right chicane is your kind of best overtaking opportunity, as you are a ways away from the next DRS zone after this. You kind of have to follow line in astern. Turn 27, last corner, is a nice hairpin at the end of the circuit. A long DRS zone leading into it. And of course, a detection point for the next pit straight right after that. So you can either re-attack or just try and get your attack done down that. Soft, medium, and hard, as usual. The mediums being about 0.6 of a second slower per lap. The hards 1.1 seconds slower per lap around the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Softs will only do you about 8 laps around here. The mediums 14, the hards 19. So likely to see mediums and hards pretty much all season, honestly, when it comes to the different tire choices for the circuit and the league. So we'll take a look, and you can see some of the views of the Jeddah circuit, as it will be a nice little night race under the lights here. After round 1, here is the Division 2 Championship, our Xbox Challenger Spen at the top. Our teammate Dog came home second last week in Gali, rounding out the podium. Robin, Daryl, Adam, Freonix, Tommy Chronicle, Zhao, and Bananarama make up the very first top 10 of the season. And we are looking to get on the points board this time around. So we'll jump out onto the circuit for our first flying lap as we break down into the final corner, get the car unwound. Very tight on the exit there. The outside wall comes up pretty quickly. So rear wing opens up for the first DRS section, and a full throttle blast down into turn on. We are able to get our regular PC host going this week, so we're on Xbox like we hope. We come through turn 1 into Bananarama coming out of the pits. We kind of leave a little bit more on the table through the first couple of corners, but with it being such a tight circuit, we want to kind of get a banker in. There are some track limits you can run afoul of here in this first sector as the walls sit back a little bit, especially this double right-hander here. You can kind of run out other side there, and these 2 corners, you can really get right up to the edge, touching the tire lines, and they are a bit inconsistent on the track limits hits there. So it is not ideal, but we try and keep it in. But we're in bounds for the first time through that long banked hairpin kind of turn that makes up the end of Sector 1, the start of Sector 2. Now flicking it through kind of the high-speed sweepers section, as there are numbered corners here, but you can see there's no lift of the throttle. Even in fact, DRS is open. We hit our next braking point right after the 100-meter board. Right before that light box, pitch it in and try and get on the throttle as early as possible down into the final DRS. And you can see opening up that wing now in just this long curved left section of the track. It goes a pretty long way to try and make up some ground and overtake. Granted, you come into it pretty high speed from the previous corner, so there's not a whole lot of acceleration zone. But now we'll open up the DRS for the last time. We streak across the line, and we're first driver to set a lap. So we are provisionally P1 on a 29.452. Chuck has crashed out of the session just up ahead. You can see those yellow flags. And if you keep a look on the track map, there was a Mercedes coming through. Freonix actually ended up hitting them. But we jump ahead now to our second run. We still have provisional pole. Robin B on PlayStation in second. So closing up to us is the Haas driver. Down into turn 1. We break a little bit later. We're able to get a good entry. Not as good of an exit, though. We do kind of lose half a tenth on the exit. But that we have improved. Sorry. Turns 3 and 4. Tricky little left-right. There are yellow flags up ahead, so we're going to have to keep an eye out for that, as it looks like there's a slow-moving Haas that we might catch up to. As we finish off the first sector, I've only found 1/100th of a second over our previous best lap time through Sector 1. So very consistent Sector 1s that time, but in very different ways. Getting on the throttle a little bit better through the hairpin gains us about another 100th of a second. Now there's some time to be found through this middle sector as we can dial in some of our braking and acceleration points through these quick little slam on the brakes, accelerate. We may even get a hint of slipstream off the car ahead. We do set a purple middle sector, although a bad exit from that chicane leaves us net zero kind of to our previous lap time. So it's going to be all about what we do in the final corner. We did leave a little bit of time on the table in the last corner in our best lap, but this time we get a little more down to the apex. You can see we've gained about 1/10 of a second as we open up straight line as much as we can to tighten the radius to the line, and we do improve by about 1/10 of a second, and we go and remain in provisional P1 just ahead of Spedwolf, who has gone second overall at this stage. Now we'll jump out one last time, our third qualifying run, our last chance to improve. Still holding provisional P1, so looking good for overall pace here, honestly. I thought I would probably match out somewhere in the P6, 7 and use my race pace. I've gone a bit deep into turn 1 there. Missed the braking point by a considerable margin, so we've lost a lot of time. And now there's a lot of cars coming out of the pit lane that are right in front of us. Stolen Valor, luckily off to the side, makes some room for us. Now we're catching up to a slower running Red Bull, it would seem. We're going to try and make up the time, and we just take a little bit too much of that inside curb, trying to make up the deficit that we created in turn 1, but that will be it. We have an invalid lap, and we will not improve. So we will remain on the time that we set already, which was a 29.3. Ultimately, though, Spen pips us by 0.3 of a second, only driver into the 28s. But we do have ourselves a front row start. I think it's only the second front row start of my career. I believe Season 2 Monza might be the only other one. I'd have to look back and remember. We may not have even started front row then. But definitely one of our better qualifying sessions. Now, on the medium tires with the red lights up into turn 1, we go. A bunch of wheel spin on the start. That gives Robin a good run on the outside of us. We're going to have to try and defend. We're a bit late on the brakes, a bit of a lockup. Tiny bit of contact side by side with Robin. I try and leave him some space to rejoin. You can see him driving kind of slowly, and this actually causes us to go side by side down towards turn 3. I miss the braking point and just kind of straight line. I lose the control. I try to let him back by, but he has a big moment of wheel spin, so we just kind of have to set off. And there's a virtual safety car at the back from a different incident. But ultimately, in the end, I was reported by Robin for that, which fair enough, because it was, they weren't great moves, especially the turn 3 and 4. And I received a 5-second time penalty at the end of the race for the turn 3 and 4 incident. It was considered a racing incident in turn 1, as I did, even though there was a little bit of wheel banging, slow down according to the stewards, and I still left him space to be on the track, and he kind of drove off on his own. So virtual safety car ending. Very short one, and we've not done a very good job with the delta. You see we've lost about a second to Spenwolf, but rather than trying to pick up more time penalties, we decided to just press on. But here we are. We've got Chronicle 0.8 of a second behind us. Spenwolf now 2.5 seconds. We've got to try and reduce that gap. I was thinking, honestly, though, at this stage, with the qualifying time that Spen put in, he probably would be a couple of tenths naturally faster per lap than me. I didn't think I could get quite there. I mean, obviously, I didn't have a great qualifying lap. The 0.3 that I was off of him in qualifying wasn't fully indicative, but you can see we have kind of eaten a couple of tenths into him. So at the end of this lap, after getting the restart, I was starting to think, maybe I can chase him down. Maybe I can go for a win today. At the current rate, it was looking like podium was definitely on the cards for sure. Chronicle, though, showing some good pace behind us, holding on to that 0.8. We're down under 2 seconds to Spen, but still early stages of the race. We pick up our first track limits warning of the day on lap 2, and that is going to be something I think that is important here. So a bit of a slow run through there because of running over track limits and trying to set up the next corners. We do lose time to both Spenwolf and Chronicle, who is now only 0.4 behind us. Still, though, no DRS available to him. We are using quite a lot of battery, but I'm trying not to get too focused on my rearview mirrors with Chronicle behind. He's showing some good pace already in this one, but we are closing up on Spenwolf. So At this stage, I'm thinking, yeah, I can catch this. I can catch him and go racing with him. We do have a car that is spun, it looks like. Stolen Valor out of the session, so in that first sector. And a full safety car is called. We had set 2 purple sectors, the first and second sector, so we'd made quite a bit of ground. And now we are going to see, it's a bit early, lap 2 for our pit. It's only a 25 lap race. The hards will do about 18 laps. But Spen is going to come in, and we are just kind of having a little bit of a tire warm up there. And now we are the leader of the race. So jumping ahead, lap 4 of 25, the field bunched back up. We are the de facto leader as the safety car is on its way into the pit lane. So we are waiting to restart this race, holding a nice steady roughly 80-85 miles an hour. Nice freeway speeds as we weave and get the tires up to temperature. Kind of glide into the last corner, not use a lot of brakes. And here at the restart, we're going very slow. Chronicle taps the back of us as we just kind of were coasting through the corner. I actually used that as a moment to get some space because I knew he was going to have to kind of lift. So I used that exact moment to go for the restart. Granted, I would have liked if he didn't tap me at all, but figure if he's going to disadvantage himself at that short moment, I'm just going to go for it. So we do enter turn 1 with about 0.6 of a second of a gap. And now we are up to 0.7. So we have gotten a decent restart. He's got Robin right behind at about a 4/10 gap. So he has recovered nicely from our turn 1, turn 3 melees. Mistakes, realistically. I was, still not fully bedded in. This was my first race start in a crossplay lobby, and there is a little bit of difference to the grip. It feels slightly different than what you would have in GP mode. Just something about the latency is a little bit different, but you can see we've already opened up now a 1 second gap to Chronicle, and he is opening up his gap to Robin. Our teammate Dog sitting in 4th place, so in a good spot is the Dog there. So we've got 2 Williamses inside the top 5, and really thinking we can have a good season, potentially challenge for the Constructors Championship in this one, especially Dog coming in second on the podium in race 1. And now we're sitting here leading with our teammate in 4th. So definitely some opportunities. Of course, we are on a strategy differential to Spen, who is that orange dot kind of in the middle of the pack. I believe he's running about 7th or 8th after making his pit stop. But we will be going on to the hard tire that will be much fresher. But we're going to jump ahead now. Lap 9 of 25. Chronicle has dropped to 3.4 seconds. So I had pace in hand. But Furry Onyx out of the session in the first sector, and the second full safety car is called right as we're coming around the final corner. So now this is our decision, our opportunity. We are going to come in and get a set of hard tires on. Into the pit lane we go, and we get a very buggy 5-second speeding penalty. We weren't anywhere near the control line. We were, as the game said, 59 meters short of it, and all of a sudden just went, nah, you're in trouble. But we are going to slap on a set of hard tires. It looks like Spen has picked up a 5-second time penalty of his own. And a lot of other drivers opting for the pit stop as well. So out of the pit lane we come. It looks like AR21 opts to stay out. He started on the hard tires, so he's going to jump up to 3rd. But now we are running 2nd on a much younger set of tires. 8 laps fresher set of hard tires that can go to the end of the race. We're thinking Spen has either got to try and eke those out the entire rest of the way, which would be a long ask, or he's going to make another pit stop, and maybe we'll have to try and defend if he comes in off of those meetings. But we're coming through here, running in 2nd, and I'm trying to be cheeky and burn off fuel by, you can see on my throttle and brake, holding both. But you see foot slips off the brake and rear tires just light up, spinning around, and we have to wait for basically the entire field to pass us. Everybody but Godfather Martyr. So, stupid mistake. We were in prime position, much better tires than the car ahead, running 2nd, and had already been making big gaps on the cars behind us. But now we are running 13th of 14 cars. We have a few other drivers with now the same age tires as we do just ahead of us, so we've got some work to do. But safety car is in this lap now. We do have Godfather Martyr behind us on soft tires. So we're going to have to kind of keep an eye out for him because he's going to be very aggressive, I'm sure, on those softs. We're just trying to keep a nice, easy restart down into the final corner. You can see he gets a pretty good run off of the final corner. I think we had a bit better straight line speed set up for than him. But you can see he made up quite a bit of ground. He's going to brake very late. We kind of have to turn in early to give him room to kind of dive to the outside and not hit us. He luckily avoids us. But Zhao has had a pretty poor run through turn 1. And now I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because it's not really an overtaking area in this section, but I've got a car that is on two-step softer tires right behind me that's putting a lot of pressure, and I can't quite move past the car ahead. But we get a good run exiting sector 1 to Zhao. We're going to go to the inside, use that overtake, use the banking of this corner to kind of help fling us through it. And now we're very able to be good and late on the brakes, and now we've got Chuck and Peter Ward side by side ahead of us. We're going to take a look and see if either of them can make a mistake. A little contact between the two, so Peter Ward is wide, and Godfather Martyr crashes and collects Zhao, and we have another full safety car deployed. Luckily, right after we pass Peter Ward. So we've made up a couple spots. We're up into 11th now. But all these safety cars are really helping out Spen in the front. He's able to conserve the tires pretty significantly. But now we just kind of have to stay in the train. We'll see if anybody opts for a tire change at this point. Now, the medium tires can do about 13 to 15 laps. And I was looking at, since you have two sets of fresh mediums, we obviously started on a set. I was looking at it, if I pit now, I'm going to lose at most 2 positions. And I believe Peter Ward has damage, so I didn't think I was going to lose positions to him. So we do opt to pit this lap. We're going very slow into the pit lane to avoid any other penalties. This does mean that we have to serve our unjust speeding the pit lane penalty. If I'd stayed out to the end of the race, I probably could have gotten it removed. But we are going to serve it. It is what it is. So there's the weight. There's the new tires going on. So now we've got a set of tires that's got good grip to the end of the race. We're going to come back out in P11. So net, we actually don't lose any positions by making this pit stop. We probably could have gained, I think, 2 positions if we had stayed out on the hards, but I think with the pace that we showed earlier on, I was feeling very confident in being on the medium tire. It was also just working really well. So jumping ahead, lap 14 of 25, about 11 laps left to go. It'll be 10 once we cross the finish line. But the safety car is in this lap, and we are waiting to get restarted. We've got Peter Ward behind us, Stam in front of us, an Xbox driver as well. And there everybody goes. So overtake on, we were able to save some money. Now we are running very heavy on fuel now because of the multiple safety cars. And that is, especially since I'm trying to not do what caused me problems last time. So AR21 very deep in turn 1 and 2. It is a very slow run. Stam actually sneaks through. We have a tiny bit of a look to the inside, but thinking back on lap 1, we are going to ignore it. There's contact between them, and we have to kind of slot through the 2 Ferraris as AR21 late on the brakes hits the back of Stam and collects 2 other cars. We shoot the gap somehow, only a little bit of contact on the rear wheel with the spinning Ferrari, but now we're up into 8th. Peter Ward made it through as well. Somehow the seas parted and we made it through, and luckily nobody from that incident retired. They were all still going, so no further safety car. We did lose a bit of time to the car ahead, Bananarama, but he's got a 5-second time penalty. We're looking for it, and we've actually caught up to the train very quickly because on the plus side, the cars that made contact and we kind of snuck through were all the cars ahead of us that had made the change to the medium tire. Now, everybody the rest of the way forward is on a set of hard tires, except for, I believe, Chronicle up front, I think, is on the mediums as well. But we've managed to jump all the other medium tire runners, and now we have a good run coming down the back straight. We're going to look to the inside of Bananarama into turn 27 on the brakes here. He's going to leave us space around the outside. He's going to carry more momentum because, the tightening radius. So we're going to have to try and re-attack. And this time we didn't quite get the drive we needed to out of the final corner into turn 1. So Bananarama, for now, is able to hold that position on us. So down into turn 1 we go. He's on the hard compound tires up front. We can just see Sockeye up ahead as well. One change that I will make after this race is I am getting rid of the driver name tags that float over the cars. They kind of just visually get in the way of some of my braking references, since I don't drive with the racing line unless it's raining, as I talked about at the end of Season 6. But we're going to move out late from the inside of Bananarama. He's going to go a little deep, leaving some space, and we're just going to use the superior grip of the medium tire to get the throttle down earlier, and we're able to complete the move on the exit. So more overtakes done and dusted this time by, and we are up into 7th place. Now there's a train of 3 cars, and if we get kind of stuck, we could get stuck in a DRS train at this point, where it becomes harder and harder to overtake the car ahead because they're getting the DRS help from the car in front of them. But it is Sockeye, and then our teammate Dog, who is on the hard tire. I believe it is Gali up ahead of him, as Stam is out of the session. He's crashed out. We are having a look to the outside of Sockeye, but we have to back out as the full safety car once again is called. Now we're going to take a look and see if anybody dives into the pit lane. We're running 7th, and it looks like Bananarama is going to come into the pits behind us. So nothing changing there. We just got to catch up to the safety car queue, and it looks like everybody else in front of us stays out. So lap 17 of 25. Now lap 18, a very quick one. It restarted us very, very rapidly. And now Zhao's behind us on medium tires, as is AR21. And it looks like we are going to get going back to racing soon. It's not a great restart for me. I kind of just played it very safe. I left about a second of gap between myself and Sockeye, but once again, I was feeling very confident in my abilities in this race to catch him basically before the end of this lap. I wasn't expecting to make any actual overtake on this lap unless he makes a mistake. And then I was going to set him up for a finishing move kind of at the end of the lap. But down into turn 3 and 4, we can see we've already started to drop Zhao a bit, who's had a bit of a ball. Sockeye has a big slide coming through that fast right-hander, so we are just going to slot by. Luckily, it doesn't catch us. We run a little bit wide, but we lift off so we don't get a track limits warning, luckily there. It's kind of 50-50. And now we have our teammate ahead of us, and this is where, in the live stream, I start begging that Dog would let me through, because I am on a younger, softer compound. And granted, it's early season. He's much higher than me in the points at this stage after race 1, so we aren't doing team orders. I'm gonna have to kind of earn my way past him, I would say. But just strategically for a team result, probably would have been better, especially because you can see Gali wearing the medium tires just ahead, so he has a tire advantage compared to our teammate. So it's gonna make the job very hard for Dog to get by, at least until the DRS is enabled, and if Gali can stay in the DRS range of the Haas ahead of Robin B, which seems like he can. And we are closing up. You can actually see just about the lead of the race. You have Robin, then there's Spen, and then you have Chronicle out in the front with a little bit of a gap. Dog having a look to the outside of Gali into turn 1. Not a great run. He's got to kind of just tuck back in, maybe going for the cutback, the up and under, but nothing going on there. And we had created a fair bit of gap to the cars behind. We're going to jump ahead lap 22 of 25. So a few laps sitting behind, and this time Dog goes around the outside of Gali, and this time we'll make that move stick. We did lose some time to the cars behind, and you can see we've lost time as well to Spen and Robin. Spen still on those hard tires he started the race on, and look just how much more grip we had coming through the sweeper than Gali here. So we're going to try and set up a move down into, I believe it's turn 10, that banked hairpin at the end. We get a good run, just staying inbounds, and this time we're going to go to the outside as he's defending to the inside. We're using that overtake late. We can go very late on the brakes because of how banked the corner is around the top, and we're just going to get the throttle down. He gets his nose slightly ahead, but we carry the momentum around the outside, and both Williamses have now made their way past the Alpine of Gali. And once again, I'm begging for Dog. Let me buy. I can chase down Spen. I have the tire grip to do it. I have the DRS. I'm a little too far back to attack Dog in this situation. Also believe he's using some overtake to try and keep the gap around half a second, but the laps are dwindling down, and I knew I had the pace to really reel in. So you can see his battery depleted, that blinking red light on the rear, meaning his battery is under 10% charge, and that is going to make it very hard for him down into turn one. So we get a very good exit off of the final corner. We're going to go to the outside, full overtake on DRS. We set the fastest lap of the race in the process, and we're going to just be nice and easy on the brakes. He's going to dive kind of late to the inside, and there's a little bit of contact. I wasn't expecting him to really lunge up there, but, you know, it was at risk of sounding like an F1 driver. It was my corner because I had already turned significantly in, and he had no part of the car alongside until he kind of lunged in. And there's my second track limits warning, and a mistake. It causes just kind of a cascade of mistakes. So right after I pass my teammate, I pick up 2 immediate track limits warnings, and now I have a 3-second time penalty. So our teammate, if he stays within just 3 seconds of us, which is highly likely considering there's only a couple of laps left in this one, is going to jump us on penalties. We are just behind Spen, who is carrying 5 seconds of time penalty still on those very old hard tires, but seems to have pretty good straight line speed in this case. So we aren't going as well as we possibly could through the second sector. A little bit of a mistake, slow on the exit, but he's still just picking up that DRS off of Robin ahead of him. So we're running 4th at the moment, although with the penalty differential as it stands, running net P3. Spen is catching the back of Robin, who looks to be struggling on their hard tires. 2 laps left to go in this race, and it looks like Robin has fallen off the back of Chronicle. Spen to the inside. We have a half-hearted little peek to see just how slow Robin was down the pit straight, but now we've got to try and sort our way past Robin. Spen is going to try and build that gap in the final lap, so we don't have a last move at him, and we're going to try and get by Robin as early as we can, but he's doing just enough, especially through this section, not making any mistakes to stay ahead. We're having to be very careful as, well, actually, in hindsight, I didn't need to be careful. I could have just sent it and picked up 2 more track limit warnings, but we're trying to, at this point, save some battery, so if we do get past Robin, naturally, we can use some battery to either attack Spen or defend at the end in case Robin tries to come back at us. But through the first and second sectors now we go. We've got a decent run, but a little sloppy through there as Robin is now going to open that gap up. Doug hanging on about 1 second behind us now, so we need to gain still a position if we want to stay on a podium spot on the day of the race. Of course, in retrospect, I already now know that I lose positions because of the 5-second lap when I said, but we've got a very good run on Robin. We both have DRS, but we're going to go around the outside, leave space to the inside. He makes a little bit of contact with the rear of us. We left quite a lot of space on the inside, but that is going to essentially mean no chance for him to get back. And now we've got basically no battery left in the tank. We've got 5%, so it's going to hamper our top speed significantly. Spen is on very, very old tires, though, so maybe on this final lap of the race we can get him. Chronicle just ahead now, 1.5 seconds the margin, and I'm sitting here thinking if I could have gotten by Dog and Gali earlier, I could have gone for the win in this one, or, you know, of course, if I hadn't made the mistake and spun myself out under safety car. Like, raw pace-wise, I had a very good day here on the circuit. Chuck is out of the session, crashes on the final lap of the race. And now we are still looking at the rear wing of the McLaren ahead of us. Spen Wolf, championship leader. A little bit of a bobble coming out of the hairpin, but he's able to get up to speed quick enough. There's no door for us to sneak our car through, and a little mistake through there as we get very close, and that is going to cost us some momentum. We may have had an opportunity to overtake him and get very close down this, but now we've burned battery to try and catch up to the back of him. And also, really made the crucial mistake. But opening up the DRS for the second to last time. His battery is burning out. My battery is burning out. At this point, I'm trying. I don't have anything left. Maybe I can get him on a run to the line at the very end, but we're a little deep on exit, and he's just got the traction out of the final corner to make his position stick. Granted, we're going to pass him anyway on penalties. We come home net P3 as our teammate Dog jumps all the way to the top of the list as he was able to take the virtual win of this race. But ultimately, we did take 5 seconds worth of time penalties. Some others penalties around meant Dog lost the win of the race for some moves he made earlier. So Chronicle ended up coming home with their first race win. We ended up with a 5th place finish, although we still maintained the fastest lap at the end of the race. So we did pick up 11 points, which is a solid haul considering all the mistakes I made. And we are going to look ahead to the next circuit, which we go to the Italian circuit of Imola. We're actually visiting both Italy circuits this time by. We will visit Monza for the first time in 3 seasons later this season, but at least to spray the champagne, our first Williams double podium of the season. And at this stage, pace-wise, I was feeling really good about our chances for the Constructors' Championship. So definitely a good opportunity for Williams to try and take it. And up in Div 1, Povey and Nemesis are looking very strong in Div 1 in Williams as well. Basically a super team is the combination. So here is your final race classification pre-Stewards increase. Dog took home the win. Chronicle second, myself in third, Robin B in fourth, Spen in fifth, Bananarama in sixth, Gali in seventh, Sockeye in eighth, who's also known as Daryl Adam, Peter Ward in ninth, and Xiao rounds out the point scoring positions in 10th. AR21 comes home 11th, and Chuck, Stam, Godfather, and a few others are your retirements. Furry Onyx and Stolen Valor. So quite a few DNFs as we kind of expected around this circuit. But I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.